Okay. Always the fun part here where I just talk to myself until some people start jumping on. So let me see. I don't need anything from here. So I'm just going to put this away. Also, just a little side note. If you don't have one of these key little keychain thing from Dye, go get one. It's got a bunch of Allen keys, so that way it's just going to be easier whenever it is that you need to do anything with like chrono or whatever. There's a little Phillips head. Also, I think this tool is supposed to be for helping out with the regulator. There is a little bottle opener as well. This helps with opening up like paint boxes. I've used this to actually help cut tape as well. And I'm sure that you could find other uses for different things. Actually, for this, I was using to open up uh, the R2. Hey guys. So just like usual, so I had practice this weekend. I had gone out to Alabama, flew out there, and we had a 2-day practice with Crisis. Just kind of finishing up some stuff before we get ready for World Cup. Just kind of preparing for all of that. So same as usual, go through, clean my stuff, and hey, Oxism, and Fearless, and Rider, and Mindless. So same as usual, I just want to go ahead and let me move this off to the side. And we'll go ahead and yeah, if you have any questions or anything that you want to put in there, we can go ahead and do that. What I was thinking is I can talk about kind of what we did at the practice over at Prime, which if you guys have not played at Prime, it's honestly like the most gorgeous paintball field in the world. Mikey McGowan from Ironman. It's on his property that he has out there, and it's pretty amazing. So there is that. So yeah, so that is where we were able to go and whoa, that was almost real bad. Go and practice. Let me wipe this up a little bit. Spilled some rubbing alcohol. Luckily, that's going to be okay for some of this other stuff. It's just going to smell now. So that's fun. It's a good start, right? It's a good start to the live stream that I'm breaking stuff. It's just like that other time that I knocked the what was it? The thing off. Yeah, it is dangerous over here. You got to be careful in Florida. Florida man will come and get you. So yeah, so I'm going to talk through how it is that we structure the practice. Just kind of going through that stuff and yeah, so hopefully the mic is picking me up fine. Hopefully all that is working out well. So maybe I'll just leave it like that. I think I will. So yeah, so the first day we pretty much just had the field to ourselves. We were able to go ahead and practice whatever it is that we wanted to. So just kind of thinking through, okay, what is it that we should be doing? So there we go. So the first day we just went through and just did some low body situations. Anytime that you have the field to yourself, just kind of think through what is it that you guys need to work on. So what we did might not be what would be best for you. So, just kind of going through basics. There's nothing wrong with having a time that you go through and do the basics, drill the basics, doing snap shooting, doing laning, doing low body situations, all of that stuff. But this is a video I'm actually going to do in a little bit. So you guys are kind of getting a head sneak peek, not a head start. So basically one of the drills that we did, we didn't have really high end competition. There wasn't really a whole lot of high end competition there. So anytime you have that where there is a team that is, lower division than you, or maybe not as good, put yourself in bad situations. So one of the drills that we did was actually, you can't move until you have 2 kills. This changes it up because you have to make sure that you are staying tight. If they are making good moves, how do you still adjust without actually filling out of your bunker? And it really forces you to have to go through and make sure that you're communicating well. So again, with communication, some people it's just yelling to them, and that's not what it is. So communication in paintball is what you're doing as well, and also how is it that you can bait players into making moves. So this is something that you guys can incorporate, because there's times that someone is rapping on you and someone else can actually just kind of like sit, shoot out the side, and then come right back. We actually did a drill for this before in one of the videos. Can't remember what I named it, but it might have just been called the rollout or something like that. But basically, you were snapping and then someone said now, and you had to roll off, shoot down the wire, and then come back to snap shooting. So this way, it's simulating having a game situation that you are, maybe someone has you tucked in. You can't do anything about it. That's okay. That's the kind of stuff that will just make you a better player. So yeah, so that was a really great drill that we had done. So I will be doing a video on that in a little bit. Let's see. So how would you compare the semi-pros you're playing with now compared to the pros you were playing with? Competition wise, are these so there's always going to be a range of players. So even in pro, you look at the competition and there's some teams that just don't, and actually we're going to talk about the brackets in a little bit here. There's some teams that really just are not matching up well with other teams. And then you have other top end teams, like Dynasty, X Factor, Damage, these teams that are consistently making Sunday. And the reason why is not necessarily that they're better gunfighters. It's not always going to be that that's the thing that makes them a better team. That helps absolutely when you have guys that you can trust that are going to be able to hold a lane. But having the breakdown of the field of the moves when they should be made compared to players that are just trying to move just to move is a big difference. And I think something that is really helping Fit and Blast Camp right now is that they've played together for a while and they're higher end players. So, in semi-pro, there's a lot of great competition, and then there's some teams that are in there learning. We played one of them in Chicago. So it's not that they shouldn't be playing in there. Some people say like, oh, well, why would you play up? I am under the impression that it's not necessarily a bad thing if you play up. It's just knowing that, look, things might not be going very well, but are we learning? Do we have the mindset of a growth mindset rather than it being, well, we just need to go in and win? Well, that's not necessarily going to be the case. The reason why Blast Camp and Fit are doing so well, one, they have a lot more, hey, Jameson, a lot more funding than a lot of teams. But they also have players that are experienced. I mean, with the newbies, they have like Carl Markowski and oh, is it Andy Horvath? No, he's playing with Diesel. Who is that I'm thinking? Shoemaker. Like there's some guys that have been playing for a while that are just great players and are going to understand how to make moves on the field and when to make those moves. But even then, you can still catch those guys off guard as well. It's not like they're invincible. So then when you go into the pro ranks, it's going to be the same thing. It's one of those situations that the players are maybe learning. Like I remember one year with the Kings, it was basically don't get relegated. That was our goal. It wasn't even necessarily we need to go out and win this and we need to make Sunday. No, it was literally do well enough this season so that we don't get relegated. And that was a goal that we had because that's our only goal that we needed. I use a DSR Plus, and it has the IM Pro kit. So it's all like every team is in a different situation. Like right now with the Saints, I know a lot of the guys on the Saints, and I played with a lot of them last season. And right now it's just, can we do well enough at World Cup to save our spot? And as much as it hurts, they have a very tough battle going in because of the competition that they have. It's not going to be easy. I think if they, haven't done the math to see exactly like how well do they need to do at World Cup to even save their spot. But I want to say they have to make Sunday, and they have to probably go a little bit deeper into Sunday to even have a chance of moving forward. So it's just one of those things. No, PJ. 19th, I think, is Ironman. So Ironmen have really been struggling this year. It's not the same team that has been around for such a long time, and it's actually very strange. PJ, you're ridiculous. That they are not doing as well as they really should be. When you look at their roster, they have a great roster. They have good players. They have good funding. They have a lot of things that are going for them, but they just aren't putting it all together. My personal opinion when I watch the Ironmen is I feel like they're playing very individual. I don't think that it's one of those things that they are just not playing as a team. And I think that that's what is really, really hurting them is when I watch them play, it's just like, you're not trying to work together. And when you, I love you too, PJ. So it's just, they'll make a move and it's very just individual. Like, I'm just going to make this move. And yes, there's times that you need to go through and you need to make sure that, okay, how can we put pressure on this side, or understanding like, okay, if I'm a 1, I know that I need to be really pushing the issue. But there are times that maybe you lose someone behind you and you need to sit and shoot a gap. As boring as that is, you need to be good enough of a player to recognize that. When you look at guys like Damage, that are performing so well, if you watch Damage play, they'll go down 2 bodies, maybe even 3 bodies off the break, and they could still win the point. They understand how is it that we need to break this field down to make sure that we come out on top. And that might mean that someone that's super fast like Keith is now shooting a gap. It's not that he's not good enough of a player to get down the field. He'll still do some crazy stuff, but he also will understand that, well, if this is what wins us the point, whatever I need to do is what we need to do. So it's just one of those kinds of situations. So yeah. And that kind of stuff you just learn. Like there is sort of a, I call it a spidey sense that, okay, I need to move now, or, this is the move that I need to make. Get back here. So, like there is that, again, like I kind of call it a spidey sense. I feel like might have been even Matty Marshall might have said something similar to that, but like there's some guys that just have that kind of second sense of or sixth sense to, oh, I need to come out this way, or I need to be shooting this way, or I need to do this and switch this person. And then there's also very analytical teams like what is it? The Russians. My understanding is that they're going to know if this happens. Look, you watch yourself, all right? Just because you ended up winning the M3 doesn't mean you can just say whatever you want, sir. So yeah, I mean, it's like the Russians are going to be good at being able to, okay, how do we, if this happens, then this, like we need to go and do this thing. If this happens, then we need to go and do this. It's just, they have the understanding of, what is it that is going on the field. I think even when they were completely full strength, they had even breakdowns of like, what was happening in certain like quadrants or whatever. And like that kind of stuff is just going to be nuts. And that's the kind of stuff that separates a good team from a great team, is that they're able to pick up on that. When you look at Dynasty, they can figure out based on, what's going on. Do I need to move? I mean, look at Chris Shear. Chris Shear is doing fantastic for Dynasty, but he has that kind of sixth sense of being able to move when he needs to. I mean, even when they were down bodies in Chicago, I'm watching him, and all of a sudden it's just like he just dives across and goes and gets like a 2 or 3 pack, and it's just like, wait, what? Like, you were down bodies? Like, how did that even happen? And but that's just, I mean, that's why they would want to pick up Chris, is that he's a great player like that. Oh no, that's great. Awesome. That's good. Good to hear. So So yeah, so I guess that's a very long-winded way of explaining explaining some stuff with regard to um, the competition, which actually I did do some math on this. I think what'll be interesting. So right now, uh, the new Tom format. We'll get to that. Actually, we can talk about that now. My understanding is you only play like 3 or 5 points, and then you can score 3 or 7 points. Uh, if my understanding is correct, really bad idea. Like not good at all. Like that's not something that's going to be good for paintball. I understand that they want it to be that you can do whatever, but I don't know. I think it's a really bad idea. I kind of like Marcelo's thing of, hey, if it's a win under 25 seconds or whatever, you get 2 points. I think that's really, really great. Hey, 2-bit. Yeah, it's just less paintball. Like that's not going to be good. Sorry, my cat's over here, causing a ruckus. So yeah, I just don't see it being something that's good. Now, I guess we'll see how it plays out. It's the whole point of the exhibition on, I think it's on Wednesday. So they'll be able to play it out, get feedback. I do like the idea of, hey, go play. It's still the single time frame, whatever. But um, if you win a point in under 25 seconds, like 25 seconds or lower, you get 2 points. I think that would make things really interesting where now you have a team that needs to come back to tie. Well, if we win in 25 seconds, we actually get 2 points. Then we are, so it just changes the dynamic of the game. And I think it's one of those things where, yeah, let's just go for it. Now, I think let the cat speak. He doesn't really talk a whole lot. He is just here. Um, so he probably just wants to get away from the boys because he yeah, he kind of gets harassed. But yeah, like that format, if my understanding is correct, I really think is a bad idea. I don't think that's the right direction for paintball. I think going and having less paintball is not good. Um, uh, so I get the having a 3-point line and that kind of stuff and pushing it, but why not just have it where we take the same game that we've been doing with some minor adjustments? I do have my opinion on something that they do need to bring back from old school ball that will absolutely change it in a good way. But the why not just add in the 2-point conversion? Where I think if what they could do is that if you win in under 25 seconds or lower, that you get 2 points. But if it's a dirty hang, I think what would be interesting is that it's an automatic swing point regardless of the time. So, that's going to help cut down on players that are just going through and just causing havoc. That being said, something that they need to bring back is the penalty boxes. So for those that don't know, it used to be that it wasn't 1-for-1s, 2-for-1s, or anything like that. It was penalty boxes. And I think that that is a true way of really penalizing a team. A minor was 1 minute. And this is the old school opinion. A minor was 1 minute. And if the other team won, the minute came off, but you had to get in the box before the team hit the flag. So I think that would make things interesting because then you have people that are rushing back. The other thing is that the current, oh no, sorry, was it 2 minutes or 3 minutes for a major? I think, yeah, shooting the box was awesome. I mean, like you want entertainment. There's guys getting blown apart when you come out of the box. Or I had it when I played in college that they forgot that we were in the box, and I came out of the box and just blasted the dudes that were trying to hang the flag. And that is entertaining. It is something that's great. Like my pit just started going nuts because it was just funny. But yeah, so like with that kind of stuff, I think when you have, need to just redo my tape. When you have the penalty box, it's a true penalty. Something that is an issue with the 1-for-1 or 2-for-1. And this is a player that used to play for Impact. I won't say who. And this was a couple years ago. So you don't have to try to figure out who it was that said this. But he brought up a very, very good point. when you have it where the team is able to essentially go and you only get one other body pulled or two other bodies pulled. Okay, well, if I have 5 alive and I get a major, I still have 2 players on the other side of the field. So I could hypothetically go through, get a major, still kill these other players. In the confusion, I still have 2 other players that can go and hit the buzzer. That's a bad system. That's not a true penalty. And when you have teams that are good at being able to see, okay, well, we have 5 bodies alive. What difference does it make if I get a penalty? It's just going to make things real messy. So the way you fix that is you have the box. If the box is back, then you can't have it where a player runs through and does something stupid, because now they have to sprint back to the box. And I think my batteries died. So I just sprint back to the box and get into the box before the time even starts. So now you have it where there are players that, are actually penalized. Oh, my batteries are dead. Cool. I think that they turned on when I flew back. So I think this has just been on for a little bit now. So now these players are actually penalized for something that they are doing. So if they want to try to go and do a blatant penalty, well, now you have to sprint back to the box. It is an R2. Yeah, I have an R2 and then I have a LTR as a kind of a backup. So the what is it? So the penalty box was something that when that was incorporated, it actually, again, really penalized the player. And I think when you have that, especially when you have, okay, well, now we have 2 minutes or 3 minutes of a penalty. Well, now you're really penalizing a team for trying to do something that they shouldn't have. So instead of it being just you have a random, 1 for 1, 2 for 1, whatever, you have it where the teams are actually going to be penalized. And I think that that's something that would be a lot better. But I mean, tell me what you guys think in the comments. It's something that I just don't see the 1 for 1, 2 for 1 stuff as a real penalty, like when you're really thinking about it. So that would be my opinion if they were to change stuff. I don't really like this. Like, I didn't really like the race 2 stuff. I think it's better when you can go out and really play. Like if you have time to come back, I don't mind the mercy rule. But like that was a fun thing in college, was you had 2 10-minute halves and you just go and play. Like whoever's the best team is going to be the best team. And that's that. I get it though. Like Tom is also trying to figure out a way of how do we make it where it's not super expensive for players. So he's in a very tough situation with regard to all that stuff. So I get it. I totally get that, but I don't agree with the 3 point, 7 point, whatever, less paintball. Like that's like, what's the fun in that? At least when it's, back and forth, you have these points that are going back and forth. Interesting. So I don't know if I would want the wall or the net box. I think the net box is more interesting because you can see where you need to come out of. But the issue with that is if it's getting sprayed or if it's getting hit, it's going to spray through. And then that could cause issues where, oh no, I'm not actually hit. That's all spray. So it's at least if you have the wall thing that they had initially or for a little bit, then that is able to make it where there's something that's blown up, another spot that a sponsor can put logos on, have it where Goose Island or whoever, like that's another huge thing that everyone sees in so many different pictures. So like, that's a great advertising part. But you have this huge wall thing and the player has to come out of one side or the other, like that could be the option. And then you come out and you start blasting. Anyways, I started blasting. So like, I liked that, like looking back, I like look back fondly on that stuff. So that's something that, I think would be a lot better than doing these changes for for the league. If you guys haven't seen, by the way, this is getting given away. If you haven't seen the new video, my members get extra entries. So you'll be able to, if you're watch tier, you get one more entry, learn tier, you get 2 extra entries, and win tier, you get 3 extra entries. So yeah, just a little side note on that one. But that's just my opinion with that stuff. If I was a part of the league, I would be like, Tom, like, we really should go back to the penalty box. I get that it's a little bit more difficult. Maybe have it where it's only semi-pro and pro have that. It definitely makes things more interesting. Seeing people get blown apart is fun to watch. Like, that's just part of the game. And I like the modular bunkers. I like all of that. But the actual like game itself is going to have issues. So let me get this up here. All right. So did the math on this. So for Blast Camp to win out, one, they have to win because Newbies is only behind them by 34 points. Super, super close. So if Fit gets, if I did the math right, 8th or worse, and Blast Camp wins due to double points, the Blast Camp team, the Blast Camp, not the Blast Camp, Blast Camp will win the pro spot. I think Fit has been super consistent. I don't see that happening, but Blast Camp coming out, it's World Cup, like that kind of stuff is just great because what is this cat doing? Hey, get out of there. He's going to try to fit inside this box that's over here, and it's not going to be that. All right, whatever, man. Yeah, if they get 8th or lower and Blast Camp wins, they'll win the pro spot. Just based on the way that all the points are working out. So it's a tall order for Blast Camp, but anything is possible. When you look at the pro guys, is Damian Vasquez. I thought you meant Damian Ryan. I was like, what? He is not, because I think when he was finishing up with getting his deputy or police officer something, he wasn't able to make all the practices, but he's still in all of his dynasty stuff. I think it's kind of an open, I don't know him well, super well. Like I just know who he is, and I've spoken with him once or twice. Like, it hasn't really been a whole lot. But because of that, he probably has some sort of a contract thing with them, and probably an open invitation back. I mean, he fits in well with that group, so I don't see why they wouldn't want him to come back. So when we look at pro, just talk about I'll talk about the different brackets, but first I just want to look at, so right now Saints are at 30 points and then Ironmen are at 168 points. So if Ironmen get dead last, Saints, let's see, so they would need 170 or 180 points. They basically need to get like top 12. Let me see if I'm doing this right. .11th would be one. Okay, so what about 10th would be 104. So yeah, so if they get top 10, Saints could actually save their pro spot, and the Ironmen would be the ones that drop. But Ironmen have to get dead last. What's the worst? Let me see. 15th gets 60. That's still not enough. 14th gets 70. So that'd be one. Actually, if Saints get 14th and the Ironmen get dead last, they'll be tied for last. So they have to get 13th or better to guarantee that. I don't know what would happen if all of a sudden there's 2 teams tied for last. I don't know how they would figure that out. I don't see that happening. I think the Saints, I mean, there's one event they got 18th, but every other time it's been 20th. And look, I played with them. You know, you don't want friends of yours to drop. I just don't see it happening. I think that it's going to be really, really tough for them. And I don't know if the guys are going to go down to semi-pro and play there, or if the team is going to fold. I have no idea what's happening with all that stuff. But I think what'll be interesting is, so for those that don't know, hopefully you can see that there. Look, I don't have all the, oh, that looks terrible. So I don't have all the special stuff over here for live streaming where I can flip back and forth. I don't have a crew. It's just me and my cat right now. So looking at how they're doing this. So for World Cup, the top top three from the States, and then the winner from Europe moves on automatically into the quarterfinals. So they're going to play each other, but just for the seeding points. So it's Dynasty, Damage, Heat, and Tauntauns. I think Tauntauns will do great. I don't see why they wouldn't. The issue that I have is technically the rule is that if you were rostered pro in Chicago, you are not allowed to play on a pro team at World Cup. The rosters are locked. You cannot have a player go from playing pro in Chicago to a different team. The reason I bring that up is Axel. I don't know if I just saw Damien. I don't know, whatever. Axel left Impact. So I don't know what that means for him. I don't see it being that he's allowed to play. Now, when I had the stuff that happened with the Saints, like the reason why I played with Ruthless at semi-pro for World Cup was because I wasn't allowed to play pro. I had talked to another pro team, or there was some talking whatever points, but I even if they were like, we're going to pay you $1 million, like I wouldn't be able to play. That's just the rules. So if Axel ends up playing with Tauntauns, that goes against all of the rules that the NXL has in place. Now, unless there's some weird rule that I don't know about, where if you play on a team in Europe, then if that team wins out, then you're allowed to play with them. Because if that was the case, then Harrison could go play with Joy. But I don't know. So anyways, let's look at, so Group A is X Factor, Diesel, Level, Uprising, and Lucky 15s. I think Lucky 15s will do well if it's a fast layout. They're a team that does very well with like quick layouts. I think they're just a very aggressive team. I think the teams, though, that will win out of this are X Factor and Diesel. I think Level will probably get a bye if they have a chance. Uprising is so tough. If it's that Europe rule, then that's ridiculous, because one of the teams I was talking to was from Europe. Anyways, whatever. Good things happen because I played with Ruthless. So, it is what it is. But yeah, no, that's, I know that he plays in Europe, but I don't know if that means that he's allowed to play in the States because of the ruling and all that stuff. But yeah, Bobby, maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's some weird rule that I don't know about because I didn't play in Europe. But out of that bracket, X Factor and Diesel, Level could come out and surprise people. Uprising is really tough because you don't know what Uprising team is going to show up. Uprising is one of those teams that you have no clue if they're going to go in 4-0 or they're going to go 0-4. Like it depends on what team shows up for that event. They're scrappy, they have heart. I just don't see it happening for them. Maybe Lucky 15s would get a bye out of this. Actually, I feel like not to be kind of cliche, but Lucky 15s are definitely a dark horse. Their logo is a horse. That's not what I meant by it, but I think that they could be a dark horse to win out of this bracket. Diesel is struggling, and I don't know why. Diesel has all these amazing players on paper. They have Hinman helping coach. They have Greg Pauly. Like, they have everything that they need, and they just can't put it together. So I'm not sure what is going on with that. X Factor is going to win out for sure, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Group B, and tell me what you guys think in the comments too. So Group B is NYX, Revo, Aftermath, the Bears, and the Saints. I think the Saints could beat some of these teams. I don't see them beating Revo or Extreme, but Aftermath and the Bears, maybe. I mean, it'd be interesting if they went 2-2 and they got a bye. That would be very interesting to see. NYX and Revo will win out. Aftermath, I think, has been struggling a little bit. I could be wrong. If Mike is listening, which I don't think he is, but I don't remember how they did at the last event, but I feel like without Mike being there, it's kind of, yeah, I agree. Like this could be a bracket that helps the Saints out. Not that these other teams are bad. It's just a matter of they have the best chance, I think, out of this. But yeah, I think X Factor and Revo will win out unless the Saints come out with something. And I don't know, maybe they come out and the layout is perfect for them. We're actually going to be scrimmaging them for practice here in Florida before the event. So that's the plan, at least, is that we're going to scrimmage them and some other teams to get ready for the event. So it'd be interesting to see how the layout breaks down for them. But it's really tough to see what happens. I mean, that's why we shoot each other, right? So Group C is Hurricanes, Infamous, Legion, Notorious, and Versed Factory. I haven't watched a lot of Versed. The fact that they were top four in Europe means something. I mean, it's not like it's a walk in the park over there. I don't see them moving out of this bracket, but I think it'll be Hurricanes and Legion actually that'll win out of this one. Notorious will win. I just don't know that they're going to do enough. But right now it's tough. Like Notorious is in a situation where they're a new pro team and you're having to learn your footing and having to adjust to these little minute things against guys that have been playing pro for years. So you have a lot that you have to grow with. Legion should have all of their guys. I haven't heard anything otherwise. I talked to Kirill in Chicago. I don't think there was anything that we had. Well, he didn't mention anyone not showing up, but that doesn't mean that something couldn't have happened. Infamous is great. I think Infamous will move on, whether it be they win or it's a wild card. But I just don't see it being one of those. I think I'm going to stick with Hurricanes and Legion for that bracket to move on. I don't know if Versed is going to put up a lot of points, but we'll see. One thing I will say that I'm glad that they didn't do was having the Latin leagues have a team that comes in. I think that was nothing against Tsunami. They still came out, and I think they scored some points. It started with 6 guys on 1.2, but I also heard that there was only like 3 or 4 teams that entered that tournament for them to see who plays pro at World Cup. And I'm like, why? You have all these guys in Europe that need to fight for a year to get in. So I think Hurricanes and Legion will be the ones that win out. If Infamous moves on, I feel like it'll probably be a wild card. Group D is Impact, Kings, Elite, Ironman, and Joy. I think Joy should do fine without Harrison. I think that he's someone that can go in and cause damage, but I don't know if they're going to be good enough to go deep into Sunday if they do move on. No offense to the Ironman. Again, like I had said, they just aren't playing as a team, and it's something that is not, it's not going to help you. Like you're not going to move on if you're not playing together. And that's just how it is. Like, that's just the way that it is. If you can win some points by yourself, but you're not going to win a match by yourself. So yeah. So Kings have been consistently moving on to Sunday, so that could put them in. I think they've always been kind of on the bubble though. I could be wrong. Again, like I'm not 100%. Impact will move on for sure. But it might be Impact and Elite that move on and win out of the bracket. And then maybe the Kings would move on with a wild card. Of everyone out of this, I still think it's going to be Dynasty or Damage that win this event. Damage has the home field advantage. They have all the family that's going to be there. They're fighting, and they're coming off another win. I think it's Dynasty or Damage. Nothing against Heat. friends with Connor. Like they play great. They just can't get over that next hump to make it into the the podium for first place. This year at least. Obviously, they're a fantastic team, but I think Tauntauns will make a good. They'll go deep. But yeah, I still think it's going to be Dynasty or Damage that wins the whole thing. X Factor will probably go deeper. Extreme has been doing fantastic. Hurricanes is another team. There's so many good teams in pro. It's really hard to think through like who's going to do what. Because the thing with the Hurricanes, if you guys have never had a chance to talk to Mike Bianca, you should. One, he's just a good person to talk to, but also his paintball knowledge and the way that he breaks things down and all of that. He's very analytical in the sense of what is it that we need to do to win this match. And when you look at them not moving on, it's by like 1 point. And they're right there. And the fact that they've been doing this and they've only been pro for, it's only been 2 years. Yeah, I think it's 2 years. And they've made Sunday consistently is just ridiculous. Like that's a really amazing thing. Their first time that they played in pro, they beat Uprising 5-0 or 6-0. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That should not happen when you first come into pro. But the way that they have the whole organization is just fantastic. I think I'm still going to stick with Dynasty or Damage, winning everything. Heat is probably the dark horse to come through. The craziest one would be funny if the Saints like won the event. Like that'd be really, really funny, but also like, I don't know, it'd be really like shake things up, but I don't see it happening. But who knows? Maybe the Valken paint they're going to shoot at Cup is just amazing and everything is working fantastic. All of that. So yeah. Well, guys, I am going to call it for tonight. Thank you for everyone that jumped on. I'll be picking the winner for this on Monday, and I'm going to include some extra stuff as well. It's not just the goggle GoPro mount. I'm going to have some other stuff in there as well, so that way you guys get some extra goodies. So I'll look around and see what else I want to throw in there. But thanks, guys. I will see you at World Cup. I won't get there Wednesday till we have a practice slot at 3, so I'm not going to get there till later. I'm going to be working that day, and then go from work. Yeah, so I will see you all then. And thanks for all the support, guys. So as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.